All right, we are at the top of the hour. We're going to go ahead and get started. As folks keep coming in, we're just going to let them go ahead and join in, but we want to have enough precious time for this exciting topic. So today we are going to focus on mental health and well-being, self-care, and bringing your best self to today's topic of discussion. And today I have two wonderful guest speakers with me today, Virginia Baba and Natalie Torres, and I'm Danielle Lisenbey. We're going to start out with first introducing ourselves and telling you a little bit about ourselves. So Miss Virginia, take it away.
Sure. Thank you, Danielle, and hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Virginia Baba. I'm the Senior Claims Manager at PetSmart. I've been with PetSmart for over 20 years now, which seems amazing to me because it feels like maybe 4 years. I actually manage all claims, not only work comp, but also property, general liability, cargo, you name it, product liability. And as in true PetSmart fashion, of course, I have 3 dogs and a tank full of fish. And right now I'm babysitting the department hamster.
A department hamster. That's impressive, Virginia. That's impressive.
I'll tell you a little bit more about her later.
Great. All right, Miss Natalie, please introduce yourself to us.
Thank you. Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Natalie Torres. I'm the Senior Director of Client Solutions with Workfinders USA. And I joined this team of return to work specialists almost 6 years ago. I spent almost 20 years before that in the bar and restaurant business, a little bit of everything from working in the dish pit to handling multiple units, but with really this idea of, creating customers for life. So that's what drew me to wanting to help injured workers. And I live in the recently relocated to the UP of Michigan with my husband. And it's a beautiful sunny day here to be joining you all. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And I'm Danielle Lisenbey. I've been, I was previously with Broadspire for 27 years. Recently just took on a new role with MedRisk as their president. So I was sharing with the lovely ladies that I'm drinking a little bit from the fire hose today. So probably we'll learn some great tips from them to rebalance myself as I'm forging forward in this new opportunity. And we did discover that all 3 of us are great animal lovers. I too have 3 beautiful dogs that I'm so gracious to spend this great time with during this COVID situation. So welcome to all our participants. We have well over 60 of you so far today. We hope you do feel free to comment and share your comments as we have our discussion or ask a question. My job is to make sure I keep a good eye on the tally over there. And if you have a question, we can incorporate that, and I'll do my best to do that. But today we have a very interesting topic, and one that I would share with the audience personally. I've had my own struggles with, and I've had to work really, really hard around that. Whether it's being as a caregiver of my family, especially my parents who I lost recently over the last 2 years, where the balance has just kind of gotten off the rails and I haven't done a good job of taking care of myself or doing certain things. So today it's a great topic on how we do that personally and do that and bring that mindset and that balance to the table to win or to do better. So I'm hoping to learn some stuff, and I'll share some stories as well. And we're going to go ahead and get started with Miss Virginia. So what keeps you feeling balanced and in a mindset to win and or move forward or accomplish something significant for you personally?
So I would say, Danielle, that it's just starting each day focusing on the positive and staying positive and helping my team remain in a positive mindset. So for me, at PetSmart, one of those things may be just keeping up on the current news with the company. One thing I always like to look at is the PetSmart Charities site, just to see the amazing things that they're doing. For example, they've just donated a $2.5 million grant to Canada for domestic abuse. Because in those situations, the number one reason people don't leave a violent situation is they don't want to leave their pets. So PetSmart helps with things like that. And I think it's important, whatever your business is, to kind of focus on the positive things going on in your business, whether it's promotions or different activities that the company might be doing. That really helps me a lot. And also just doing things I enjoy. And to your point, not being too hard on yourself. Give yourself a break. It is a stressful time. And it's easy in these types of situations, it's easy to kind of fall down that negative rabbit hole, especially in our industry, dealing with injuries, all day long. So, and it's easy to second guess yourself or others, but I think it's important to remember that the majority of us work with the best intentions.
Absolutely. So, Natalie, you had shared a story when we had talked previously, and I would love for you to tell what you do for yourself, for your well-being or self-care perspective, because I think that's wonderful. Some of the steps and actions you personally take to overcome a stressful moment, maybe.
Yeah. When we were getting together last week, it was just days before I was invited to join the Comp Laude presentation and the conference, and that was really a dream of mine. But as the day was ticking closer and closer, I had this huge bout of imposter syndrome that was creeping up and creeping up. And this was just thankfully days before that the presentation was going to go live, that I had the chance to circle up with you ladies, and makes me think of how dear the Alliance really is to me, to be able to have the fellowship I did, because just right after that, I was able to roll out my mat and do some yoga and get refocused and get myself in the place I needed to be, but also with the support of you ladies that helped me shake this. I mean, have you ever had this when you're putting together this presentation and you're crafting your words and you're thinking, what do they even want to hear from me for? And that's what was creeping up on me. And my process is coming back to what I practice, what ultimately helps me choose myself and fill my cup. Because if I can't, and that practice for me is yoga. For Virginia, I think it's running, and for other people, it might be meditation or CrossFit or whatever your personal practice is that allows you to take the time that you need to choose yourself first and fill your cup and be ready to come back to whatever the challenge is that may be. And remember that you have the people around you.
Yeah, I'll jump in there a little bit. So for me, what I really had to do personally is really build a network of support. Being a mom, being a wife, being a caregiver, and just having that probably type A personality, I always felt that I had to do everything myself, right? And so I really needed to work on building what I would call network of support, and when I talk in the business world, I talk about more your board of directors, kind of your go-to people when you're needing assistance from a perspective of career, but also when you build a network of support when you're having those struggles of not either taking care of yourself or overwhelmed. So, my biggest one was, reaching a point, and I can share this now, reaching a point in my career, what did I want to do next, right? 27 years with a particular organization. And what did I want to do next with my next step? And what did I have to ultimately do to accomplish that? Or was I ready to roll off into the distance and retire? And it really took a network of people for me to sit down and share the challenges I've had, the things that I wanted to do, the things that I thought maybe I couldn't do, and get some guidance on how to do them. And I was gracious enough to meet this wonderful lady who sat down with me and really just helped me build out a plan and reflect positively on me as a person, both personally and professionally, in order to take that step forward. And I really feel it's a part of bringing that balance together. I think you said it, Virginia, very well. We could be really hard on ourselves, or we could get caught up in doing kind of the same old just because it's easy or comfortable. So that's for me was definitely the next things to happen. So to me, building that network of support. So Virginia, what are some things that you've done that may haven't worked, or you've had to switch or balance things or change things up a little bit because of the circumstance from, you know, a mindset, a well-being, self-care, or just balance, whether it's personally or professionally?
Sure. So, you know, in the first couple of weeks of COVID, I was really busy. We had just had a tornado impact one of our stores. So the first couple of weeks during quarantine, I was really busy and didn't really have time to think about it. But after things started settling down with that, I noticed that I was having problems sleeping all of a sudden. I could not sleep at night. And I'm a runner, like Natalie said, so you would think I'd be tired enough, plus, you know, staring at a computer all day. But I figured out what it was is I was just, you know, that feeling of isolation was kind of starting to hit. And it was making me anxious and kind of sad, not knowing, you know, when I was going to get to see my teammates and their pets, because, you know, the pets are always at work, as well as my family and friends. So what I had to do is really focus on getting myself in a good schedule. And I had to really focus on pulling myself away from the computer and making that time between work and home. And it was hard to do. It was actually really hard to do because I had found myself working more and more to kind of fill that void. So just kind of creating that schedule and setting boundaries for myself from a work and home perspective really helped me a lot, you know, with just relaxing and telling myself it's okay, you know, it's okay to take some time for yourself, even though work is sitting there right in your house.
That's a really good one, Virginia, because I believe that I half joke, but it's pretty serious. With the COVID situation and us working from home, I feel like I wake up and I'm in front of a computer at 7 a.m. and until, you know, 6, 7 o'clock at night, and you're not moving, you're not getting up. You might get up and go to the bathroom, but your bathroom's 5 feet away, right? So you're not walking very far to get something to drink or that. And so I consciously had to create a routine. But I'll tell you one thing, I was really struggling sleeping too. And I couldn't quite figure it out. And my husband will call this hocus pocus, so just keep that in mind. But I had a dear friend who was really into essential oils. She just really is. And I was just curious what she, you know, never really got into it, never really knew anything about it. And she made something for me to rub on my hands and actually rub on my feet when I went to sleep. And she named it Ambien, though it's not real Ambien. And it was amazing that just that those smells made me completely relax at night, to where as Dorina, who's not here today, and we miss her, called them the mind monkeys. The mind monkeys would drift away and my body would completely relax and I would start to sleep. And then ultimately I would feel better the next day, and then incorporate a little bit of walking instead of just walking to the restroom or to the kitchen, really just taking a step outside and walking. It was amazing. It was life-changing for me. Again, my husband calls it hocus pocus until, of course, he needs something similar. But it was just something very new to me that I wanted to share with the audience that may not know about it. So I've been doing a lot of reading, a lot of different things to learn about it, but it was just a new thing that entered my life during this COVID situation. How about you, Natalie? What have you tried that, you know, maybe has worked or not worked for you besides yoga?
Yeah, thank you. And this is tied to yoga a little bit in the fact that what I experienced also with through this year was a chosen change, but this relocation to the UP, which came in August this summer, which was a time where, well, yoga has come all virtual this year as well. And then in a time that I was going to be very disconnected from it. And I had to choose or understand that I wasn't going to have my go-to power or place that I tap into for my balance in a time that, I mean, a move and a new home buying, and these are things like, a move is one of the most stressful things we go through. So I, through the years of practicing, have been working on my letting go and understanding that the world just comes to you if you can just let go of the things that I was so desperately trying to hold on to and control. And at times my yoga practice can be that too. So so in the vein of what did I try or what didn't didn't work, I think it did work to a certain degree. It was very difficult the first couple of weeks not being able to have it, but some great growth came out of it when I was able to come back to finding my balanced point again, just kind of as the dust settled from the move. But something then that I'm trying to take those ideas into how I approach things professionally as well, because I think it can nod to a bit of our boundaries. And something I'm always working on is my ability to say no, because that is a direct contributor to our ability to keep our healthy boundaries. So trying to work with a little bit of that all over the place with letting go and letting it come to you.
That's great. That's a great segue, Nellie. And we have almost 80 participants. Welcome, ladies. If you have any questions that you would like to ask the audience, please feel free to put them in the comment section. And we've seen a few folks that are digging the essential oils and digging what we're saying. So feel free to ask us any questions. But if you could give one piece of advice, if I told you I had to limit you today to one piece of advice that was truly a game changer for you, that helped either bring balance or change your mindset, what would that be? And I'll give you guys a few minutes to think about it, and I'll tell you what mine is, because mine is kind of goofy, but it has really, truly helped me. Now listen, lady, I'm the farthest things from artistic. I am not artistic at all by any stretch, but I like doing different crafts, right? I just like to attempt them. So for me, I actually took this COVID period time. I built out a little craft room down in my basement. I'm an organization freak, so I have all my tools up on my wall, and some of you may have seen it that know me and have been on other calls with me. And I just started researching some different things that I could do to spend my time with, to really just change and calm me and make me think and do things a little bit differently. And so for me, it really was, strangely enough, just crafting. It would be even, I'd have a work call, I would step away. I have these wooden letters that I purchased, and I paint them and put different designs on them and give them away as gifts. Again, not fancy artistic by any stretch, but the amazing part to me was just the painting part of it, how calming that was, that helped me recenter myself in the middle of the day when I might have just been in the heat of a very stressful conversation, stressful thing at work, stressful thing at home, and kind of bring myself back to center. And it was a game changer for me that I was just very, very excited that I was able to do that for myself. Probably good for my family too. Made me a calmer person versus being super high strung. How about you guys?
Who do you want to start with?
Natalie, how about you?
So, well, with the idea of actually choosing an item, kind of like you, I enjoy arranging flowers when I'm in the midst of some stress. But what it originally is for me is coming back to the idea of choosing myself first. And so, and I think of that time when I was just crying about the comp loud. I bet my husband would say, hey, what about your choosing yourself first? Because I was falling to pieces. But trying to come back to a mental space for me of choosing myself first, and remembering that I have to fill up my cup first to be the best person that I can. So whatever I can grab at that moment, you know, I looked to arranging flowers for a while to ease my mind when, you know, when we're at home, and something I could break to from work right away. Can't go to yoga all the time, but breath work or meditation, things like that too. But I tried to bring it back to one of my core values, and that's choosing yourself first. That's my game changer. And I think that means a lot means something different to each one of us. But think about what that definition means to you and go back to that.
Excellent. How about you, Virginia?
So I can give the one piece of advice, but I'm going to kind of give examples of how it could impact work and personal life as well. So for me, it's thinking about the little things that I might be missing, the things that you maybe take for granted when you're at work or out running around every day. So from a work perspective, again, if we go back to just missing the team and missing the daily interaction, that can have a huge impact not only on myself, but the rest of the team. So we adopted a practice to stay connected. So one of the things that I do is I send out a team message every morning, something positive. It may be memes, it may be a video, something like that. And then we're also starting what's called Friday Freedom Calls. So those are calls, short calls, 15 to 30 minutes that are free from work talk. So we'll sit and see each other and chat about anything but work, just to kind of help us keep connected. Because I think one of the things that we miss is walking into work and saying good morning to everybody and finding out what they did the day before or over the weekend or whatever. So that's how, you know, kind of thinking about the little things helps from a work perspective. And since we're talking about adopting a practice, we'll talk about pets. And congratulations, Natalie, on your almost new puppy, right? What day do you get it?
She'll be home tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. So pets are a great way to fill voids, whether the void is, you know, a mental, emotional, physical, or all of the above void. How could it be physical? Pets love to play. If it's a dog, maybe you take it for a walk. But they're great at changing your mood and bringing a positive perspective into a situation. One thing that I think is really interesting that we found out, and this must be the same for everybody, because we have several people that foster pets that are up for adoption. Well, on a typical day, about 10% of all people that foster pets end up adopting the pets they're fostering. During COVID, we found that that percentage has gone up to 25% plus of people adopting the pets that they're fostering. And we're also running into situations where adoption shelters or homeless pet shelters are actually have waiting lists in some situations, because people are finding that this is the perfect time for them to own a pet. You know, they can train, it keeps the kids entertained, it keeps the family entertained, and it reduces stress. So, you know, those are kind of the things that help me, is just thinking about those little things. And so for Linda, the pet that, our department pet, I'm typically not a big fan of rodents, but but I kind of got stuck with Linda, and she's pretty hilarious. She has her own personality. She has a little ball that she rolls around the house in, and she knows her name, and she'll follow me around. So it's kind of crazy. So I like Linda. I'm still not a big fan of rodents, but I do like Linda.
Yeah, and how are the puppies handling Linda? That's what I want to know.
The funny thing is, the youngest one, the spunkiest one, is afraid of her. When she's in her ball, he takes off. One of them likes to follow her and sniff her, and the other one just stares at her like, what is that? So they all react differently to her, so it's kind of funny. But none of them have hurt her at all. They just kind of follow her. They're curious.
Curious. So someone noted off of what you spoke about, Virginia, that they really miss the fireside chats that occur in the office. I think that was Brittany, and I couldn't agree more. And my former company, they were great about being on at least Zoom or Teams or something so you could see each other, so you at least had that personal connection. And that could be a little overwhelming as well. So you have to do the balance there. But the thing, we did something similar. We would have, whether it's little happy hours on a Thursday day or Thursday night day, we're working, and just check in with folks and not talk about work and just see how folks are doing and have those type of sessions, send little gifts and things to each other. My quick story to really help someone who was locked down, and that's what made me feel better about myself, was to help someone. They were where they couldn't even go to a salon, right? So we were in heavy lockdown, and she had really short hair. And, you know, people with short hair have to cut their hair pretty often, right? So sending it, my daughter's used to be a cosmetologist, so I sent her a pair of scissors and all kinds of hair products. And you would have thought that I gave her $1 million because she said, I don't know what I was going to do not being able to cut my hair, but just it made her feel very much better about herself and her well-being. But it also, from me giving, helped me connect with her and feel better about myself as well. So what are some more things that we could do from a work perspective? With my new employer, I'm really trying to encourage using Zoom and some of the tools a little bit more to have a stronger personal connection with folks versus everything just being via phone. What about you guys? Natalie, what are some of the things you're doing to better connect and really bring that personal touch and better self to the table from a work perspective?
Yeah, my team had been virtual for the entire time that I've been with my firm. We are virtual, and I've been for 6 years. So to say just a bit to what you nodded to, Danielle, is that you know, connecting even more on Zoom individually, you know, with my colleagues or for group events, happy hours, celebrations, grabbing at any thread of what you said earlier, Virginia, positivity. If we can't start, if that can't be something to grab onto and run with, anything can. So going back to like Employee of the Month celebrations and just little things to come together to notice the small different things of the ways that people are crafting their positions, bending, growing, becoming something new and different, and celebrating that. So though that we did a lot of those things before COVID hit us, we really amped it up, just doing everything we can to get that time together and share each other's virtual energy and spirit.
Excellent.
Really.
Virginia, did you guys have to change it up? So it sounds like you were doing some of that, as we all suspected this not to last as long, the situation. Did you guys have to change things up a little bit based on your scenario? Sounds like you guys were doing some of that. For me, if I were in your world, I'd be missing those animals like nobody's business. So what did you have to do to change it up a little bit?
So the pets that would come to work every day have become experts at virtual calls. They get on the video conference calls. Mine aren't in here right now. Otherwise I'd put one on here. And Linda's sleeping, but yeah, the pets are always welcome on the calls, and a lot of times you will see them. One of the things that we did that's really fun, every year we have a Halloween party. We're part of the legal department, and our entire legal department will have a Halloween party every year. And we'll have costume contests, so it may be a duo contest of the best costume for the person and their pet, or it might be the scariest costume or the funniest costume, whatever. So we actually did that last week virtually through our Zoom or Teams call. And it was hilarious because, you know, seeing the pets all dressed up on camera along with their pet parent, and then everybody could kind of make their own background. So the background even fit with their costume. It was really, really fun. And it was great to see everybody. So we do have the quarterly meetings virtually with the entire legal team. which has helped a lot as well. But yeah, I think one of the big things for us, for me and the team, and I didn't realize how much it would impact me, is just that daily messaging, because it's easy for everybody to get so caught up in their own world and what they're doing. And I can see where it could be really easy for somebody to even isolate themselves a little more from everybody because they're just working at home and focused on what they're doing and want to accomplish great things. So just having those messages and giving the team that opportunity to comment back and forth to each other has been really helpful.
We have a question from Anya. So we have a brave soul that asked us a question. Lots of us juggling work, school safety for our kids, aging parents. Advice for working parents that find it hard to find time for self-care and filling that cup. So Miss Natalie, what advice would you give Anya from a personal and employer perspective, she's asking?
Sure. I would start by just trying to find 5 minutes of time. It could be a little overwhelming to think about, do I need an hour to spend to practice something or do something? Try to find 5 minutes of time for yourself that you can spend quietly, and start with that 5 minutes and just take it from there. Don't be too hard on yourself. Just try to take the small amount of time that you can and build with that.
I think that's great advice. For me, Anya, the hardest part for me was I'm not really good at saying no. So there we go. We're kind of opening up this 8 personality that struggles with saying no. So I have a hard time saying no. So what I had to do, and a very wise, good friend of mine in that network I told you about shared with me, and I never realized she did this, but she in her calendar would physically block off time for herself or to do something, even if it was work related or personal related, to give her that bandwidth within her calendar and to really commit to not knocking that off her calendar for her personal time, even or professional time, right? So she's a lawyer. And so think about contracts coming at her left and right, things coming at her left and right. And it would be really easy. She could go through the day and then be up all night reading contracts. She would block off time to have that balanced mindset time to either do work related or personal related. So similar to what Natalie was talking about, whether it's just a few minutes or a specific time in your calendar, we're all busy. But I think the thing that we have to really commit to and hold ourselves accountable is that time. And so for me, what I had to do is really dedicate putting it in my calendar. So I love to walk, I love to hike. So I would block off a little time for lunch to say hello, say hello to my son and husband who are in the house with me at lunchtime, maybe have a quick sandwich with them, and then block off 15, 20 minutes. And even if it was just Callie, Virginia knows my Callie girl, Callie and I just walk up the street for a few minutes together, get some fresh air and come back, but making that commitment to myself to make that happen. So that more on the personal side, but even in the professional side, Anya, it's making that time and balancing that time for yourself. It's a commitment and kind of holding yourself accountable. Now, I do have that network of support. I make them hold me accountable too. I have them hold me accountable too, because I know I can easily weasel myself out of it, but I have a great support mechanism of folks to hold me accountable. What about you, Virginia? What do you think?
So looking at it from a different perspective, because I don't have children at home anymore, mine are grown and out of the house. So from my perspective, and maybe from a leadership perspective, everybody has a different situation, going on. And when you're in a situation like that, where maybe you have kids that you're trying to homeschool, or elderly parents that you're trying to take care of, or maybe it's a spouse that just had surgery and it's just the two of you at home. Whatever the situation is, you're not alone. And in a leadership role, I think we're very understanding, especially in this time. So you have to put yourself in the other person's shoes. So for Anya, whatever your situation is, whether it's homeschooling, know that your leadership understands what you're going through and what you're trying to deal with. And it's very possible that they may be going through the same thing, but just not talking about it, or something similar. So I think it's just really knowing that you're not alone, and feel comfortable talking to your leader about it, or another colleague or something, because especially colleagues, because you work for the same company, they may have some good ideas.
Excellent, excellent. So one other thing before we close up here, we got a few more minutes, and I asked these ladies, and I'll even share what Dorina shared with us since she's not here today, is any books, podcasts, things you read or things you look at that you could provide to the audience that really helped you on your journey of getting balanced or wellness or self-care. With what Dorina shared with us, and I'm just gonna read a little bit of my notes, so bear with me, is she did a daily practice of meditation and gratitude. Now, I give her major kudos because I'm not sure I could sit there long enough to meditate without, like my mind drifting off into all kinds of fun things. And I think she called them mind monkeys. So kudos to her. But I loved also the gratitude. And she said she read the book called 10% Happier. It's a book, it's a podcast, and it's also an app. And she says there's happiness, lab science behind what makes people happy and how it makes people happy. So she really promoted that kind of bringing into her life from a book or podcast perspective. For me, I'm a little bit of a techie, so I don't know if you guys that have iPhones have seen the whole 14.1 OIS new edition, and you can put widgets on your phone and redesign how your phone looks if you're an Apple lover. And so for me, I did took advantage of that and started playing with that. And I started putting, and I don't know if you ladies can see it, but I started putting you can't see it, but little boxes, little widgets with quotes. You've got this. I actually paid for a motivational one that rotates at least every few hours. And today's is the root of all fear is imagination. I got a widget that's a countdown to something that's really special for me that's coming up. So I've got some family time, special family time with special family members coming at the end of the month. And I've got 16 days, 8 hours, and 37 minutes for when that will happen. And just when I need just a moment of just to, kind of refresh my mind, or something's getting me off balance and off kilter, I can quickly look at my phone. And one is, don't wait. The time will never be just right. So things like that, I've instituted in kind of my thing that I carry me everywhere with me. I don't think it leaves my side, just to rebalance and help myself from a self-care and self-mind care perspective. How about you, Virginia? What books, podcasts, maybe things you've done to incorporate the things we talked about today?
So for me, it wouldn't be a book as much either. I actually like articles. I like to research online. So I found some websites that have great articles related to the whole balance. And one of those is actually the Harvard Gazette website. So they have an article that's called Keeping Things in Balance While Under Quarantine. And it's a great article. And there are steps under there that you can follow. There's all kinds of information and data. Another one is the Risk and Insurance website. They have what's called a work comp forum, and they have just tons of different articles related to this topic that they have started ever since we were in quarantine. So I like to look at the websites and read the articles, and then I can actually share the articles with others.
Excellent, excellent. How about you, Miss Natalie?
I have two books that I've recently been coming back to. They're by the same author, Michael Stone. And one of them is called Yoga for a World Out of Balance. And this book is really a guide on teachings and different perspectives on ethics and social action. But it was really his book, The World Comes to You, that was introduced to me earlier this year. And these are about 50 small one-page stories, notes on practice, love, social action, reflection. This is just a book I got in January, and I think I've read it 6 times already, or come back to it to read just a page, maybe like on a title of something called Running Away or Unrehearsing. They're just little small stories that are something that we've all been through before, or a nod to our experience. That I've cried through several of the one-pagers, but they is such a nice connection to the stories, and then way to like feel rebirth from the connection afterwards. But I highly encourage it. The World Comes to You, Michael Stone.
Excellent, excellent. One I might throw out there from a professional perspective, we've got a couple more minutes, and if anyone's got questions, please feel free to ask us questions. One that might be helpful from a balanced or changing your mindset, or even just self-reflecting, is Growth Mindset by Carol Dweck. She's done a lot of work on growth mindset versus fixed mindset. I've read her book. It actually was a requirement to read in our organization as well. And so if you're not a big book reader, though, I could tell you there's some great podcasts and YouTube videos out there that will give you the short, concise version of it. But it is great to listen to or read and just do some reflection, especially if you want to grow and evolve as a leader or contributor, whether personally or professionally. And it was, for me, it was a great refresher, right? Especially as we evolve in our career or take on new challenges on the professional sense, or we grow and evolve as a person and take on new challenges, taking care of parents, dealing with the COVID situation. It was a good one to take a step back and think, there's a couple of things in there that I might have a little bit of a fixed mindset on, and how do I take a step back and look at things maybe from a little bit different perspective. I think a person that just chimed in, I think this one is a great one as well, is a gratitude journal. And Dorina talked a little bit about that as she starts each day with a daily practice of meditation and gratitude. And she did mention, Jennifer, that gave us that grateful insight, is to write down something each day that you're grateful for. And she says her boss sends her team a quote each morning that she so looks forward to. So some great advice from our ladies that are joining us today. We only have a couple more minutes left. Any questions from the audience or any other things you'd like to share that we can share with the remainder of the group?
While you're looking, I'll just make a comment to what Natalie was saying about her books. And what I love about the books that she mentioned is not only COVID, but also all of the other things that we're going through this year, right? The protesting, the rioting. It's just important to find that calmness in your life, that space that you can go to. And when you have a book like that, with the kind of short stories or one-pagers or whatever, you read a couple of pages, you have that time to yourself to just kind of take yourself back to what's really important. So I love that. I love those books, Natalie. Great suggestion.
Excellent suggestion. And last little tidbit I throw out to you, I would tell you one thing that's been very helpful and inspiring for me is just looking back at old pictures, right? Going down memory lane. It definitely brings you back to either a younger self of you or younger self of your kids or family members. And during this COVID situation, that's just been so wonderful to be able to do. Well, I would like to take this time to thank Miss Natalie and Miss Virginia for coming along with this journey on giving us advice on our personal experiences and the things we can all do to have a better balance, mental health, well-being, self-caring person. Thank you, ladies, so much. And those of you in the audience, I hope you continue to enjoy our sessions today. There'll be new sessions coming on board here soon, as well as this session will be recorded. But we really enjoy your insights and sharing with us today. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.